Hello, so I have chosen an article called British Child Migrants. I was told I was going on a picnic, and the article is written by Julia Rose, and it was published on the 24th of October 2015 in The Guardian, which is a British newspaper. And I'm going to make an analysis of the article by using the rhetorical pentagon, where I will look at the language and thereby focus on the rhetorical tools used in the article. Finally, I will comment on the intention of this article, and after presenting the analysis, I will comment on how this article is suitable for English. So first of all, the topic is, of course, the British child migrant schemes. And the circumstances, after Gordon Brown's official apology in 2010, there may have been a need for the journalists to create a good story about the British child migrant schemes that would elaborate and inform and affect the people around the world on specifically this topic. And therefore, one may say that the intention of this article has been influenced by these sort of post-apology circumstances. The sender, or the writer, is of course Julia Rose, or The Guardian in general, and the receivers are either people or former child migrants who have or share an interest in hearing these stories of the lives of the poor child migrants, or the British population and, the people around the world in general that need to be informed and affected by this terrible part of British history. In relation to the language, the article uses different rhetorical tools in order to inform and affect the readers and thereby emphasize the intention of the article. For example, the article uses many anecdotes and examples from the two former child migrants, Tony Costa and Marcel O'Brien. And Costa and O'Brien, they actually make up the sources in this article, since these two former child migrants have been interviewed by Rhodes when making this article. So in addition to this, the sources may therefore seem credible. However, the different quotes from the interviews may have been specifically chosen and put in this particular order in the article, so the intention would appear more clear and manipulating. But an example of an anecdote used in the article is the first paragraph, where it says, "Sunday evenings were the highlight of the week when Tony Costa was a child." And in this paragraph, we clearly see how pathos is being used actually throughout the whole article, as to affect the readers, evoke their emotions and conscience, and just make them sympathize with the child migrants. For example, it says that on Sundays the boys were allowed to watch a television film, as if they weren't allowed to do anything else for fun the other days. And thereby this sentence creates a contrast between the hard work that the boys were forced to do and then the little bit of fun they had on the Sundays. This is also shown in the last sentence here, where it says it was the only good thing, because thereby with this sentence the readers immediately feel sorry for the poor child migrants, because watching television was the only good thing. Another rhetorical tool which is being used in the article to emphasize the intention is actually sponsorship ethos combined with pathos. I'm just going to find it here, where it says, "Queen Elizabeth, the late Queen Mother, wrote back expressing sympathy but ultimately supporting the charity's position." So in relation to the use of sponsorship ethos, the fact that Queen Elizabeth actually wrote back to her and showed sympathy makes Mrs. Chapman's situation seem more extensive and serious, which then again makes the whole problematic about the child migration schemes seem more serious and real to the readers. And in relation to the use of pathos, Well, the fact that they mentioned Queen Elizabeth is a late Queen Mother, or just a Queen Mother, when talking about the poor child migrants is actually very clever, because many child migrants were taken away from their mothers by the British government, and some of these mothers may have been alone with that one child whom they couldn't provide for, so losing their only child would, in principle, make them single mothers. And therefore, the Queen Mother aspect with Queen Elizabeth may be linked with how the mothers felt when their children were taken away by the British government and sent to a country far away. The last rhetorical tool I will comment on is the rule of three, and an example of the rule of three can be seen in these two following quotes. Many suffered years of systematic physical, emotional, and sexual abuse. And official pictures from the time show groups of excited children, smartly dressed and smiling. Here. So these two examples, they really show the contrast between how the children felt before they arrived in, for example, Australia, and after they had been in Australia for some time. And in the second quote, the kids are described as excited, smiling, and happy, as if something new and fantastic awaits them. But this positivity, it totally disappears in the first quote, when we learn about how the poor child migrants were subjected to physical, emotional, and sexual abuse. And therefore there's a clear contrast between the impression the readers get of the child migrants and their whole experience with the child migration schemes. And by using the word suffer in the first quote, Rhodes manages to emphasize the horror which the young children went through when they lived at these orphanages. And furthermore, it's actually quite interesting how the words physical, emotional, and sexual abuse, besides making, of course, the readers sympathize with child migrants, also creates a sort of irony, because the children were sent away to, namely, avoid this depravity and to start a new and better life. But once they got there, they were subjected to nothing less than moral decay because of this physical, emotional, and sexual abuse which they went through. But in conclusion, the intention is, as previously mentioned, to inform and affect the readers of this article and make them sympathize with the poor child migrants, as the circumstances, these post-apology circumstances, sort of sets the stage for. They set the stage for this emotional elaboration on the topic, because it is a very, very touching and serious topic that needs to be discussed thoroughly, even when Gordon Brown has made an official apology for it. And the reason why this article is suitable for English, well, first of all, it is a non-fiction text on which you can use the rhetorical pentagon, and furthermore, the article itself contains different types of rhetorical tools which you can analyze and interpret on in order to find the intention. And in continuation of this, the headline and the pictures are, of course, also aspects which you must comment on in the analysis, because they are very important part of the intention. I didn't get to do so because I didn't have the time for it, but they are definitely worth commenting on, since they help making the article more personal and emotional. For example, the fact that the pictures show Custer and O'Brien both as little innocent children, but also as they look today. And this helps creating a sort of melancholic and serious atmosphere in the article, which then again helps emphasizing the intention of the article. Yeah, that's it.